I'm Avi and my colleague Sudo. So we had I mean, it's almost at the end of the summit and very less audience, and we did get like a few, suggestions, which we incorporated in, it's an unofficial version of MCP, right? Well, for introduction, for everyone to know what MCP is, it's basically a new way to represent your open API, REST APIs, or CLI, or any tools to LLMs. It's like just usual documentation. So a lot of discussions have been going online about why do we need MCP at all, and we already have CLI, we already have REST. Why do you need MCP in the first place? I mean, yeah, that's basically, we would say that, you would not want to train your AI every single time on, say, CLI or REST API. And with Airflow, I mean, technically we have very extensive REST APIs, like it's REST API first. So if you were to just convert all the APIs into tools, it will go beyond 100 tools. And a lot of smaller models, even a lot of frontier models, get overwhelmed with all those number of tools. So why do we need this? Say if you were to, as an ops team, you want to manage Airflow, not from DAG author's perspective, but it's not your daily job to manage, to run DAGs, and you occasionally try to manage airflows and multiple airflows. And say you have thousands, or say 10,000s of DAG. We have seen some users running 10,000 DAGs in one airflow. It's humanly not possible to even scroll through all of them. And say someone reports an issue with one of those DAGs, and say, they just want to do a basic investigation. It's a lot of manual work. And if you were to leverage power of AI, if you do not have MCP, you would have to train either your models from scratch to learn how REST APIs or Airflow CLI or Airflow UI works, or either you hook up tools which adds tools in every single request that goes to any frontier models or any models per se, and it will always have context of every tools that already exist, right? So this is just a token count of our OpenAPI JSON. If we were to take token count, it's 250k characters and comes out to be 56,000 tokens every single request, that is. And even for CLI, right? And say if you were to ask a simple question, why is my DAG, whatever DAG ID is failing, that's just 10 tokens. But if you compare that, it will always be every single request will be like finding a needle in a haystack for the model. Not every models are trained or have that kind of reasoning to even find answers based on, and it has not even done any exploration yet. These are just the information that you are providing. And then user will ask a small question, and when AI stumbles upon all of this information and it is not able to perform, you say that, yeah, this model wasted my money and it's not a good model. And even after you do all of this, we start losing the way we prompt an AI to get an answer. And the first thing that we do is try to bribe a model that will give you rewards if you perform properly. Then if it still doesn't do, then you'll try to threaten the model that will switch you out or switch to Gemini or whatever. And even if that doesn't work, at last resort, you will try to beg the model that get me some results, and it will still finally give you, yeah, you're absolutely right. Nothing more than that. But yeah, if you have tools, right, again, basically, if you have tools, it will always know what do I need to look for, and you can specifically say which tools performs what. Like, we have very good description of tools in our OpenAPI JSON, and that's why I personally started with resolving just REST APIs into MCP tools. And because Airflow is being used by a lot of highly regulated customers, every single action that you do with AI needs to be recorded, for logging, monitoring, and all of the good stuff that we get with Airflow, right? But for now, we only have Open API, JSON, and REST APIs with proper RBAC. If you do run CLI, it's pretty difficult to say what which user actually run that. But with REST APIs, we get proper RBAC. So it's for now it is a very, I'll say, straightforward way to if you can convert all the you know APIs into tools. And I did that using earlier. I did that using a simple parser code. Later on, there is a new project called FastMCP. It is gaining traction now, which automatically just reads the Open API JSON and creates tools. And I've been facing difficulties with that a lot. So we have very complex tools, complex Open API JSON, which has transitive dependency. We do use a lot of reference to different definitions of the tools, and resolution has been very difficult. So I recently made a release to cut out FastMCP for now, but if in future, if that helps, we'll go to that. But for now, we are not good. I'm not doing that. Now, if say I have all these tools that we could, we got out of all the REST API, we have basically, throughout the stack, like put APIs, get APIs, post, patch, everything. So I see two paths in which we can use MCP. Either say you want to add like a chat bot in the in an Airflow deployment just to chat with it, or get your first interaction with your DAGs, just talk to your Airflow. That would be, I just call it AI augmented Airflow. Or you have a chatbot and you give Airflow's power to the chatbot, because say if you were to use Cursor or VS Code, GitHub Copilot, and you ran something, you lose what was run earlier. Until I think like the basic chat that you can save it is 7 or 10 or whatever, but it will get archived. And say we have seen a lot of instances. For example, Replit recently deleted like 4,000 databases and even recreated dummy data and then lied about it that I didn't do. And we need accountability. So we can set a few tools that we would want AI to use. We want other tools that we do not want it to use. So I basically approached it saying, like, if you were to spin up a new Airflow and just give it to AI to use it as it wants, then you can expose everything. But if it's a deployment that is actually running your workloads and you just want to talk, the safest method is just to use get HTTP methods to convert it into tools. So yeah, where you can use this, the first one is like Airflow just assists. So you ask questions, it can read your config, it can read your DAGs, it can call out all the tools. We'll show you later on how. And the second is where you give you say, for example, I have an example where we created two DAGs which can allow to run, say, Python codes or bash commands, and it can be used as an REPL for the chatbot. And whatever it runs, it becomes a DAG run and you have all the logging and monitoring and stack with AI powered Airflow. So those are two paths in which we would want to I think like it could be used. Then AI augmented Airflow, again, it's just to talk to your deployment in a natural language. In the talk that Kakshil did about LLM operators, I did get to see that there is an opportunity that we can expose the same Airflow that we are exposing MCP tools into tasks, in which you can have your LLM operators interact with the Airflow itself using those MCP tools. So that's one, I would say, use case that I added. Pick it up from his talk. That was nice. Then, yeah, like AI powered Airflow, like I mentioned, we have a lot of connections in Airflow, which all can be leveraged by any LLM if we add all those connections in Airflow and just give that whole complete Airflow to an AI. Now, MCP doesn't only says tools. There are two more parts to it: prompts and resources. Now, if you were to teach an AI about Airflow, like if you just mention Airflow, like Saran mentioned in his talk, that it could consider actual Airflow, not Apache Airflow. So you have to give context about what you're talking. That's where prompts and resources comes in. Like you can bake in some resources which will tell AI like these are the tools that you have and this is the way you can use it. And prompts are something which can be like a run book for an LLM to try. I I would want to use like a say a slash debug command. Like prompts are used with a slash commands in say an IDE or a chatbot, where say I want to debug a DAG, and it will just give me like a fill in the blanks for the DAG ID. I will fill the DAG ID, say a run ID as well, and then there are certain steps that we know that as a person I would do this as my first step. In Airflow 3 I would start with the events. In Airflow 2, it was like, if we don't have any logs, right? I would want to start with what were the configs. I think probably it is because of resources. Now, because this is just OSS Airflow, we don't have pod level access yet. If you bring in more tools, if you bring in more DAGs, probably you can expose that. But for now, it can read your DAG config, it can read your task config, and you can allow to read Airflow config as well. And when it has all of those information, it can scroll through and find you some bottlenecks if there are any. Those are some capabilities that Airflow powered AI can help with. Now, we have two use cases. I created two different projects. One is an MCP plugin, which you can just install with one simple command in one simple pip install, and there is an MCP server, which is a different project. I mean, both of them currently are in the same repository, but they are different. And easy to use is MCP plugin if you just want to get started. So if you want to just talk to your Airflow, I would recommend to use Airflow MCP plugin, although it's just a preference. It's not necessary. You can use MCP server as well. And MCP works in two different modes. Either it is HTTP, earlier it was called server-side events, SSE, and the other is STDIO, in which the LLM client needs to talk to the server directly. Now, the way we use it is like most of our Airflow deployments are deployed on cloud, right? So we cannot have STDI all the time. Like either you have to run servers separately or you just directly talk using an HTTP. That's why these parts, and we would want to I would want you to start using Airflow MCP plugin at least in the safe mode. I have created two modes, safe mode and unsafe mode. I did get some pretty good recommendation from Soren about, say, we would want to trigger DAGs, not delete DAGs. So we'll add that in the scope going further. But for now, safe mode will just expose all the read only get APIs, and you can just talk to your Airflow. Everything gets logged in the API server because you authenticate with it with a JWT token for now. Okay, so how to use the Airflow MCP plugin? For now, here we are using Astro CLI. It allows to quickly spin up a local project. You just add Airflow MCP plugin in the requirements.txt. That's a PyB project. You just start, your local deployment, and you have to get a token. In your IDE, you can just mention the JSON for MCP config. It just needs to have a type. Either it is HTTP or STDIO. STDIO works with UVX, like UV2, like it runs the whole server. HTTP is just basically just calling out to the same API server. The MCP runs in the API server itself. You provide the token, and basically you're done. Okay, so I'll quickly show a demo. I'll ask my colleague to.
Hey, thanks, Avi.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly look at the demo. We have basically prepared everything beforehand. Like I have Airflow running with the same instructions that Avi has shared, as well as the VS Code configured to interact with that Airflow. So here I have already configured both the ways like MCP server and MCP plugin way. We'll first take a look at MCP plugin, how it interacts and what all things we can do and how control we can have. So I'll first check what all plugins we have. We can see we have MCP server and MCP plugin. I'll first enable the plugin to see if we get proper results as we want. So I'll start by listing the DAGs and Airflow versions what we have available in our system. So by default, all the MCP server runs in safe mode. You have to enable the unsafe mode if you want to make any actions. So we can see that it is listing the DAGs that we have, and we can also see the output, but we just want a simple output, right? So we get a simple output with all the things, and similarly we can see the Airflow version as well. Let me.
So it will show you first the tools, the number of tools that you can see. Here it lists all the tools, and you can, VS Code does give a better, way that you can check out the tools. Usually, you don't. Other IDs don't give you that option. By default, like say safe mode will give you only 64 tools, but if I were to add, can you add the unsafe? Yeah, and just restart. There. So now we have 110 tools, which can, for a good model, say GPT-5 is a very frontier model and it can navigate through, but say for smaller models like Gemini 2.5 Flash or I don't know, GPT-5 Nano, it can get overwhelming and it will get lost. It may not be even calling the proper tools. Though this is just, the plugin is straightforward, just converting all the tools. The MCP server does have something, I call it as hierarchical discovery of tools, in which we give it a category. Can you just convert that to?
Let's see.
Yeah.
So we'll start.
You'll have to stop this plugin. Stop the plugin. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if you see this time, oh no, come on. Again. Yeah, so right now, if you see there, it only lists 4 tools actually. Can you list down from the tools setting and see what, yeah. Right. So I've created some categories in which it can, it will have to select a category to even begin getting more tools. Can you start a new chat and ask for just list DAGs? Yeah. Say list DAGs using MCP tool. Because VS Code has option to explore your file directory. It is showing what all DAGs are there in the current folder. There we go. It is browsing the category, selecting a category, and then get DAGs. In this way, we are only exposing a few set of tools in which the model doesn't get overwhelmed with those number of tools, and we can just walk back the number of tools pending. All right, so we'll just cover a few set of scope. So we got a few good recommendation from Soren that we are currently using JWT, which gets expired. We need a better way. Also, we need the blacklisting of few tools, say delete tags or something like that, which we would never want it to run. We do need better description of tools. Right now, say for I'll give you an example. There is a search for, say, uh, for DAGs, and we use wildcards, but the wildcards are SQL like, not regex, which is not explained in our OpenAPI JSON. But technically, if we have to, train an AI or provide better description, we could do that. Maxim did mention that because it's a lot of tools, and even for their superset, they did create some evals and a test suite, which we can also try to do, and we'll have to rate a model how good that performs, and we'll try to do a very strict description so that we will be able to recreate our responses. So we'll try to continue developing this. I would want more feedbacks. We'll welcome as many contributions to the repository. I have two repositories out there, two PyP projects. You can just start using them, and yeah, that's mostly it.